Capital punishment is a legal penalty in South Korea. As of December 2012, there were at least 60 people on death row in South Korea. The method of execution is hanging. However, there has been an informal moratorium on execution since President Kim Dae-jung took office in 1998. There have been no executions in the country since December 1997. Capital punishment was a legal penalty. The Joseon Penal Code was based on that of Ming Dynasty China, with the primary two methods of execution being beheading and strangulation, although lingering death by slow slicing was reserved for particularly serious offenses, whereas execution by drinking poison was a leniency granted to royalty and high-ranking officials. The purpose of executions was to cause reactions and stop crimes. Heads of executed people were displayed to the public both to serve as public warning and enforce military courtesy. However, bodies of executed people were allowed funeral proceedings. In contemporary history, the first execution law was established on March 25, 1895, by the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan acting under the Constitution of the Empire of Japan. The first death sentence was given 4 days later, on March 29, 1895, to Jeon Bongjin, who was hanged on the 24th of April that year. In February 1998, then-President Kim Dae-jung enacted a moratorium on executions. This moratorium is still in effect as of 2023. Thus, executions in Korea are considered to be abolished de facto. The last executions took place in December 1997, when 23 people were put to death. However, there are still at least 60 people with a death sentence, as of 2013. A 2017 poll found younger South Koreans are more likely to support capital punishment than older ones. People in their 20s were the most supportive at 62.6%. According to a survey of 1,000 adults by the National Human Rights Commission of Korea in October 2018, 79.7% of the Korean citizens were supportive of the death penalty. However, approximately 70% approved repealing the death penalty, when given the option of an alternative punishment. A sentence of death is made extinct after 30 years. In 2023, the government proposed a law to remove the extinction period in response to the case of one, Korea's longest-serving death row inmate, who was convicted of arson and manslaughter in November 1993 and whose sentence would otherwise have been revoked. Gangpai is a romanization of the Korean word that is commonly translated to gangster or thug. The term is commonly used to refer to members of unorganized street gangs. By contrast, members of organized crime gangs are called gundal. The Korean mafia may have been established in the 19th century, towards the end of the Joseon dynasty, with the rise of commerce and the emergence of investment from European colonial powers. At this time, pre-existing street gangs, which were largely lower class but operated by wealthy merchants, gained greater influence. The modern history of Korean criminal organizations can be divided into 4 periods. The colonial era, the political mobs of the 1950s and early 1960s under President Syngman Rhee, the Civil War period under the military rule of Park Chung-hee and Chun Doo-hwan, and the present era. There are many named local gangs and organized crime affiliates in South Korea. They often operate small, local businesses to earn extra money. However, their usual source of income comes from protection fees, in which they take over a certain neighborhood designated as their territory, demanding that all businesses in the neighborhood make a monthly payment to the gang leaders in exchange for not damaging their business. The Chijon family was a South Korean gang active between 1993 and 1994. The gang was founded by Kim Gi-hwan, a former convict, and 6 other former prisoners and unemployed workers. Moon Sang-rok, Kim Hyun-yang, Kang Dong-un, Baek Byung-ok, Kang Moon-sub, Song Bung-un, and the only female gang member, Lee Kyung-suk, who shared his grudge against the rich. Chijon is a name given to the gang by prosecutors working on the case. Kim had originally named his gang the Maskin, apparently believing the word to be of Greek origin, and to signify ambition, though no Greek word of similar meaning and pronunciation can be identified. The early 1990s saw another periodic crackdown with Article 114 of Korean criminal law, dictating that not only were organized gangs illegal, but those who joined or formed groups could also be charged. This new law forced many into hiding or fleeing, while many others were arrested, and even those who finished their time were often put under surveillance, if they were deemed career criminals. However, Korea's rapid globalization has made it hard for law enforcement to completely stamp out organized crime, which continues to be a problem in the present day. Gang members have been linked to crimes ranging from sex trafficking to drug smuggling, burglary, kidnapping for ransom and extortion. A survey in 2007 showed that 109 inmates jailed for organized criminal activities were all involved in extortion, mostly victimizing, running bars, nightclubs, and game rooms. Gangsters have also been used as hired muscle and strongmen for businesses. Assaults have become more common in recent years, as seen in 2009, when out of 621 gang members, 35% were arrested for assault, while extortion took second at 29%, and illegal gambling 11% and loan sharking, 7% made up the rest. The number of gang members and affiliates jump in years of economic strain, as in the economic slump of 2009, when officials saw a 60% increase in new gang formations and activities. In 2011, police initiated a crackdown on gangs and affiliated members, rounding up 127 individuals within the first week of the war against organized crime. During the summer of 1993, Kim Gi-hwan met Moon Sang-rok and Kim Hyun-yang at a poker game. Kim Gi-hwan started to express hatred against wealthy people, in which the other two agreed. That evening, they decided to form that gang and establish a doctrine. Over the next few weeks, they went to workers at construction sites and persuaded them to join. They managed to convince Kang Dong-un and Baek Byung-ok, as they were both convicted robbers, plus Kang Moon-sub and Song Bung-un. Kim Gi-hwan asked all 7 members to gather all their finances. They used it to fund 2 vehicles, walkie-talkies, dynamite, and 17 weapons, including 6 rifles, a submachine gun, a pistol, an air gun, a military sword, a hiking knife, and an electric prod. They also supplied a small incineration facility and added 3 prison cells to its basement. Their plan was to gather $1 billion, about $250,000 in 1993, through kidnapping and extortion on the rich. Kim christened his band the Chijon family and ordered them to kidnap wealthy people and extort money from their families. The gang's hatred of the rich led them to systematically kill the best customers at one of the most exclusive department stores in Seoul. The gang, emboldened by a series of successful murders and kidnappings, decided that they needed a more effective way to pick out wealthy victims. They were able to buy the mailing list from Seoul's exclusive Hyundai department store from a disgruntled worker. The list contained the names of the shop's 1,200 best customers who paid with credit cards. From this list, they chose their victims. One gang member admitted dismembering his victims and eating their flesh, saying this was to fire up his courage and to renounce his humanity. The gang, boldened by a series of successful murders and kidnappings, decided that they needed a more effective way to pick out wealthy victims. The gang had been watching the local police department. When they saw that there was no action to search for them, the gang assumed that Lee Jong-soo did not report them. The police traced So's cell phone. They found it to be in Yeonggwang County. It matched Lee Jong-soo's story. In the early morning of September 17, 1994, the police went to Jiangsu where the musician's car was pushed down. Although the local police were aware of the car, the ones in the Seoko district were not aware. After confirming the case's truth, the police waited at the apartment where gang member Kang Dong-un lived. They arrested him on September 19 when he arrived in the pickup truck. The police called the rest of the gang, claiming to be at the hospital, and said that Kang was in a big accident. After luring them, the police arrested them. After the gang got arrested, the broker who got them the weapons, especially the illegal firearms, was arrested. It is currently nearly impossible for a civilian to order a firearm in South Korea now. The 6 gangsters were found guilty of murdering 5 people in 1994, burying some of the corpses on remote hillsides and burning the rest in an incinerator specially installed for that purpose in the cellar of their rustic hideout. On November 1, 1994, the Chijon family was sentenced to death for the murder of 5 people. After sentencing, none of the murderers showed any trace of remorse. Kim Hyun-yang told television reporters before his trial that his only regret was that he had not killed more rich kids. Thank you for watching Death Row.